Today, we're playing a game that has been in development hell for over 20 years. A literal blast from the past. Utilizing gameplay and character design from a repressed era of gaming. But somehow got resurrected in today's day and age. Today, we are playing Captain Blood. Originally developed by a Russian studio named Akella. Akella Studios was named after Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book character, Akella the Wolf. And this Russian studio was kind of a big deal for Russian game development. They had 250 people, 5 separate development teams, their own publishing house, distribution center, and even a localization team. These guys helped Running with Scissors with Postal 1, 2, and 3. They even had their hands in erotic gaming, publishing Japanese hentai dating sims. But when they weren't publishing Sakura Wars games, they were making pirate video games, including one of my favorites, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, while the Xbox version's performance shit the bed, a lot like Johnny Depp's ex-wife, it was an amazing title. Yes, it was a Pirates of the Caribbean tie-in game that actually had nothing to do with the release of the movie. Akella was actually making a Sea Dog sequel and was bought up by Disney to make it into a Pirates of the Caribbean video game. Both of the Sea Dogs games were inspired by Sid Meier's Pirates, but with a third-person perspective, so you can fight hordes of enemies instead of just having a 1v1 duel, while also doing your pirate activities, bartering, stealing, killing, and keel hauling. Now, the Pirates of the Caribbean game was important to this story because it is what put Captain Blood into development hell. Captain Blood originally started development in 2003, the same year they were finishing Sea Dogs 2, which became Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean took priority over Captain Blood because of Disney wanting it to release alongside the movie. So Captain Blood got pushed to the side. Later, restarting production while they were also making an actual sequel to Sea Dogs called Age of Pirates: Caribbean Tales, which was a direct sequel to their title Sea Dogs. But because of all these complications, Captain Blood got pushed aside again, with them now wanting to make massive changes, like making it more mature. Then Akella Studios, between 2003 and 2011, well, things started to go downhill, which spiraled Captain Blood's development further into its hell. That's because of the legal problems with PlayLogic over the rights to the Sea Dogs series. This ended up costing the studio $6 million in 2011. Now, the team couldn't pay this because of all the massive failures in developing games, along with all the commercial failures for games like Postal 3. If you want to see how bad Postal 3 is, CV11 made a video on it. It's a massive trash fire. 2020, Akella's Oleg Klapinski and 1C company Artem Shukoji met working at Good Old Games and wanted to make this game a reality once again, and ended up leaking it online for people to play because, well, it was almost complete. Now, in 2025, after 22 years of development, Captain Blood has been fully released on all platforms. Captain Blood is everything you would imagine an early 2000s game would be if you called a game Captain Blood. Their version of mature being a 2000s teens edgelord fantasy shit. And I fucking love it, to be honest. Every character looks like a Rob Liefeld drawing from the X Factor comics. You got QT cutscenes that play out multiple ways depending on if you succeed or fail, where you usually want to see both. There's even a torture QTE cutscene where you just watch one of your guys beat another captain's ass for you. Honestly, the problem I have with the presentation is the music. It should feel like a Cutthroat Island game, but it feels like an Ice Pirates video game. Good thing there's so much blood and violence to make it feel like a 2000s swashbuckling beat-em-up. Captain Blood is based off a 1920s novel that was then made into a 1930s movie. I know you're just as surprised as I am that it was based off of that and not an edgelord comic from the late 2000s. It's based off of a 100-year-old book that was influenced by Monmouth rebels. The game's story is more like a Sinbad novel or movie, but with edgier themes and ideas. You play as Peter Blood, a badass pirate who's stuck in the middle of the Caribbean while a war breaks out between the English and the Spanish. And Peter Blood is brought into the thick of things when a commander's daughter is kidnapped by another pirate, and he is the only person who can rescue her from that pirate. Honestly, this is a good idea for a pirate game, but the story feels incomplete, if not rushed. The pacing's rushed is what I'm saying. To use a pirate anime as a go-to, we're going from episode 1 of One Piece, straight to Enies Lobby, Marineford, then Wano. All of that in a 5-hour span. Now maybe this was intentional to keep a fast-paced, high-action, high-adventure story going, but it still feels like pieces are missing when you run into the pirate captain that kidnapped the commander's daughter on the second mission of the game. Now, while the story is fast-paced, to a fault, the combat is detrimentally slow, all because some levels are way too long, and most enemies take way too much damage, with every boss being a fucking endurance test of your patience and stalling capabilities. The game is meant to feel like God of War meets Lord of the Rings on the PS2, but because of the high HP and high difficulty enemies, it feels like the King Arthur 2 PS2 game. Wait, even that game was easy. Which means Captain Blood is in a league of its own when it comes to difficulty. The high HP difficult enemies wouldn't be that much of a problem if you had better defensive options, like blocking or parrying, which can be broken by unblockable attacks, or if the guy just attacks you enough times. They break through your block naturally, still doing damage, meaning your block is not that good. So why don't you dodge? Well, your dodge doesn't have invincibility frames, so you still get hit, even in your dodge. I mean, most of the time it's just better to run away from an attack so you can still attack them back after their attack chain is done. The only good thing is, the dodge roll is a lot faster than your natural running animation, so you can use it to traverse the levels. I found it a lot better to be offensive in most situations, trying to stun lock people so they can't attack me. But if you pick the wrong skills, that's not really possible. They'll just armor through attacks and fuck you up. The good thing is, their health bar isn't as big as it looks. That's because at a certain point, you'll be allowed to execute them. But there's only two good options in the game. One that lets you steal their weapons, which, while I didn't use it for the first half of the game, became monumentally important for the later half, making certain encounters a lot easier. And another that lets you steal their money, earning extra money per kill. Using this is how I got most of the skills by the end of the game. Extra money also means more damage, more combos, bullets, health, grenades, and you'll need all of them for the long ass levels, because there's not many ways to heal through these long levels. Sometimes, when you open a chest, you'll get a full heal, but not all the time. Sometimes when you kill an enemy, they'll drop health, but who knows if they're going to do it. And sometimes it's not a full heal, it's just a very, very small partial heal. That's why the levels being so long is such an issue, especially for levels later on. And remember, this game isn't exactly finished either. So on some of these longer levels, you can accidentally walk off the screen. Notice how I wasn't even standing on the floor in this level. This is the start of the mission, by the way. One of the late game missions that had me hard stuck for hours was me trying to destroy this cannon. If you tried to destroy it too fast, like doing too much damage too fast, it aggroes multiple waves at one time. Surprisingly, it's very difficult to fight 35 heavily armored fat men all at once, especially when they have a row of musketeers standing behind them taking pot shots at you at all times. And remember, you can't dodge roll, you can't block it. If you don't take one wave at a time, it is actually impossible to complete this mission. So I had to manipulate the game in order to proceed. Having complained this whole time, there are innovations. Well, innovations for a mid-2000s game. Captain Blood has sections where you take part in ship combat. And this can be chaotic fun. When fighting ships, the naval combat is all about manually aiming cannons to shoot at ships on all sides. Some of them have boarding parties, so you can preemptively shoot those guys and stop them from reaching your ship. If you don't, you have to fight heavily armed soldiers while destroying the ships that are bombarding you with cannon fire. If you know what you're doing, this is either incredibly easy and you're just playing a bad first-person shooter, or incredibly difficult when you have to dodge cannon fire, gunfire, and fat armored soldiers. But like a lot of things in this game, you have to heavily exploit it while it's incredibly difficult and last way too long. It's one of the things that hurts the fun of this game. Should you buy Captain Blood? Well, it's a game that's probably 70% complete. That makes it a higher percentage than most early access survival games on Steam nowadays. But does that make it good? That all comes down to if you like old school difficult games, where completing it is a challenge, not a right. Where it's better to exploit the game than be good. Honestly, if I played the game on Games Journal's difficulty, I probably would have had a better time beating it, and would have probably completed it in 3 hours instead of 10. But then I wouldn't have had the satisfaction of learning all the BS combos and how to manipulate combat. I was forced into using hit and run tactics, while also learning when to say fuck it, we ball. If they had more time and money to put effort into this, it could have been an amazing time capsule of a bygone era. But as of now, it's a relic of the past, showcasing the game that could have been. And there's something cool about playing a game that shouldn't exist. I almost forgot. The camera sucks. It makes fights incredibly hard and it ruins cutscenes. I mean, why are there black bars here? And then you got the final boss fight. I mean, why is he drinking this? Was this ever established in the whole story? I thought I was paying attention. Why won't you describe to me what's going on? Who is she? Who is she? Why is she like this? I mean, I like her outfit, but who was she?